The difference between success and failure in writing a book is breaking that project down into really small chunks. Hey friends, it's Steve. Want to know how a $5 book lands a $5,000 client? I've recorded a 15-minute video showing you our magnetic author method. It's up now at magneticauthor.co/video. Welcome to the Unstoppable CEO podcast. I'm your host, Steve Gordon, and today I'm answering some questions that have been sent in. I've gotten a few emails with questions about writing a book for lead generation, and just thought I'd go through some of these questions because I've seen them enough now that they might be popping up for you. So if you've thought about writing a book before to grow your business, to attract clients, then what we're going to go through today, actually, I think will be a really great help. It'll help you kind of see what the book should look like. So I'm just going to go through these questions and kind of answer them along the way. And, if anything else pops up for you, post it in the comments, send me an email, steve@unstoppableceo.net, and happy to answer it. So the first question that I got in is, how long should your book be? And, we really focus on what I consider lead generating books. These are not books that are going to land you on the New York Times bestseller list. They're not going to, get you to the point of being sort of a national thought leader, but they're probably going to get you to a place where you're seen as a leader in your market, in your industry, whether that's local or regional or national or even international. And they'll be very effective at attracting really great clients to you. And so we believe that the right length for that is a book that can be consumed and read in about an hour to an hour and a half. And that's really kind of the target that we aim for when we're thinking about length. Then when you translate that into, a number of pages, it's usually somewhere between 100 and 150 pages on the high end. So we believe that those shorter books are going to be better because while it's really great to have somebody raise a hand for the book and that tells you something important about them, the best prospects that come to you are going to be the ones who have read the book and consumed that content and kind of, been fully immersed in your message. And we want them to be able to get through that in, a reasonable amount of time. We don't want them to get, an hour in and go, okay, this was great, but I got to go do something else, and then put it aside and never get back to it. And so if we can get them through that book in about that period of time, we find that increases consumption. And so what that does is that translates into, like I said, about 100 to 150 page book. And that we found that to be really kind of the sweet spot. All right. So next question, how much should I give away? And I get this all the time. Like, if I give them all the ideas, they won't hire me. I've not found that to be the case. I wrote my first book in 2014 called Unstoppable Referrals, and basically laid out our whole process. And you could get the book, go through the whole thing for, I think $17.95 is the price we put on it. Or you could get one-on-one help. And, at that time you could hire us to help you through that process. And we had plenty of people hiring us. It was never an issue. But the book allowed us to get our philosophy and our approach out there so that when I did speak with a potential client, they already knew what we did. They already knew the value that it brought. They'd read the book. They believed in that methodology. They knew it was for them at that point. And now the only question was, all right, well, what's the investment going to be and what are the details and how does it work? It wasn't, what can you do to help me? They already knew what I could do to help them. And so we were a lot further along in the decision-making process by the time that I spoke with them, which is what I wanted. That's what, I think most business owners want, is they want a potential client to come to them who already kind of believes in you as the business owner. They've bought into you. They trust you, at least, to a certain degree, because, in this case, because you're an author, because you've written a book, because you've taken your methodology and your ideas and put them on paper. I'm a big believer in the fact that you can't give too much away. I've yet to see that backfire on anyone, so I don't worry about that so much. But I also know that if we look back to that first question, how long is the book going to be? It's pretty difficult to distill down your 10 years or 20 years or 30 years of experience in your business into 100 pages. So we're never going to give it all away. There's just not enough room. We need so many books that, to give it all away that you'd never write them and nobody'd ever read them. So that really isn't the issue. You want to give enough away so that people see that you are an expert, that you have, you've given the problem that you solve and the method that you use to solve it deep thought. You've worked out all the kinks. You've got a process that gives people a lot of confidence and certainty that you're going to be able to help them. And we want to be able to show all of that off. So you don't have to worry about giving too much away. What you really want to be doing is painting a picture of transformation for that potential client. You want to connect with them where they are. They're dealing with some problem. They're unable to capture some opportunity. They're in a certain place right now, and you want to connect with that, wherever your ideal clients usually are before they hire you. And you want to start the book by speaking to that. And I'll talk in a minute about the structure that we use, because I get asked about that a lot. But you want to start there and then show them the transformation into here's what's possible. And that's really the way the book should be positioned. Now, along the way, you do need to give them some meat. You got to give them some stuff that they can actually use. We're going through this with a client right now who is just fantastic at helping executives get promoted and advanced inside big corporations. And he's got a very unique methodology for doing that. And he was really concerned about, okay, how much do I give away? Well, I can tell you, we haven't even scratched the surface of his true expertise. And even though we're giving a lot away in the book, there's a big difference between reading it and applying it. One of the things that we've done to really add value in the book and make it real is give them some things that, the reader, something that they can go do as a first step, as a test, almost to kind of prove that, hey, all of this stuff really does work. Here's a small test you can go do yourself. And by giving them that, we're actually giving them a way to experience, this particular author who's an executive coach, experience what he could do for them without having to spend any more money than the cost of the book. And, for his ideal clients, they're the ones that are going to go and execute and implement that. And they're going to go, oh, wow, this is really great. I wonder what it would be like to work with him and get all of the system, get all of this applied. And so it actually creates more desire. And so you don't have to worry about giving too much away. And so that's the way that we kind of think about that. All right, next question. Is there a specific structure that you should follow for your book? And yeah, absolutely. We have found that if you approach the book the wrong way, it'll basically turn it into a client repellent. And I see this often with people who've gone and written books and they're frustrated because it's not giving them the results that they wanted. And oftentimes what happens, when we look at it, they'll ask us, well, I've written this, why isn't it working? And they often think it's a marketing problem. A lot of times it's the fact that they've written a textbook, they've written a how-to, and that isn't really what their prospects were looking for. And so we found that there is a structure. We kind of break it down into 4 parts, starting with the problem or the pain or the opportunity that your potential client has that maybe they can't capture. Wherever they're at right now, as I mentioned, in that previous question, you want to connect with them where they are now. You want to focus first on the problem that they're facing, the hurdle they need to overcome, because that's what they're staring at in the face. They're looking at a brick wall and thinking, how do I get over this? And you're going to come in and say, well, on the other side of that brick wall, there's this amazing, beautiful world waiting for you. And you're going to paint this picture of the future that, so they see what's possible. But then you can't just leave them there. That would be criminal. You can't leave them there. You've got to then give them a path to reach that future. And so that's kind of the third piece of the book. If we start with the problem, then we paint the picture of that bigger future. And then we want to get into, all right, well, here's the path to get there. Actually, we're not going to climb the wall. I've got this really great tunneling machine and we're going to go underneath it. Whatever your unique approach to solving problems, for your clients is, you want to tell them, look, I've got this approach. It's might be a little bit unorthodox or different than what you think would be necessary, but it's very effective. And here's why it's effective. And you want to show that to them. And that's where people get nervous about, revealing too much, as we talked about. How much do I show? Well, go ahead and show them the process. Give them confidence that you've thought through this. And then the fourth piece of the structure is to really outline what their possible next steps are. One of their possible next steps might be working with you, but they might have other possible next steps as well. You want to let them know, okay, we've taken you this far. You've started the journey towards a solution. Now, here's how you continue the journey, because no one book can get you all the way there. It's just not possible. And so you want to point them in the direction for future growth. And like I said, often that means, there may be an opportunity to collaborate with you. And that's great. That's, we want to get them to see that you've got solutions beyond just the book. All right. So that's the structure. All right. How much money can I expect to make? I get this a lot. How much will I make from my book? How much do your clients typically make from their book? So I was talking to one of my clients recently about that. We're working on, I think his fourth book right now. He said, my first book, I think I made somewhere between $1 and $2 million. And he said it was a worthwhile investment. I got my money back and then some. And he's still making money from it. When I think back to Unstoppable Referrals, which as I record this has been out 7 years now, going on 8 years, I've probably easily made $2.5, $3 million off of it over the course of time. And it continues to pay dividends. That's one of the things I like about books is they're a marketing asset that has longevity. But I didn't make any of that money, or I made very little of it through book sales. We've sold a lot of books, but made very little money from book sales. That's not where you're likely to make your money. If that's what you're thinking coming into this, then you probably want to look at something else, because most people just, unless you're writing a book that has got mass market appeal, and I don't mean mass business market appeal, I mean mass market, general market appeal, it's going to be difficult for you to make a lot of money just off of your book. And so one of the things that we always want to look at when we're working with a new author is what's the business model behind the book? How are we going to use the book to tee up the sale, the bigger sale that is behind it? Because that's where you're going to make all the money. And that's what you want to be thinking about is, okay, how do I tie this book in such a way that it tees up my sales process for my main business? So that's really the way to approach that. All right. Give away the book or sell it. I get asked that a lot. Well, it really depends on your business. We've got really 3 different approaches when we're working with one of our clients and talking about, okay, how do you market the book? And we really look to mold the approach to your specific business. And so these might not all apply to you. And that's okay. So the first is a referral approach. And I wrote about that in Unstoppable Referrals. I wrote about it again in Podcast Prospecting. So both of those books kind of lay out how we use a book in the referral process. And if you've got a high ticket service-based business where you only need, a few dozen clients a year to have a really great year, then the referral process is probably where you want to focus. And the book is a fantastic tool to help you multiply those referrals and reduce the amount of effort that it takes to get them. And so that would be one approach to take. And then we've got others who say, no, we need a lot more leads than that. And then we're usually looking at how can we use advertising, whether that's online or offline. And so we've helped clients with direct mail. We've helped them with print campaigns in industry publications. We've helped them, with online campaigns to drive leads to the book. And usually that will take one of 2 forms. We're either creating a free book funnel where we're giving the book away for free because what they sell is so valuable and for their type of prospect that makes kind of the most sense, that we can give the book away for free and we know that they'll get, a return of that cash in a reasonable amount of time doing it that way. The other way is a paid book funnel where for some businesses where we're able to offer the book and then we can offer a series of upsells after someone buys the book, between the amount that's paid for the book usually doesn't cover the advertising cost, but between the amount that's paid for the book and then the upsells that come after that, we can offset the advertising costs. And so that's another approach that you can take to get your book out there. But those are usually the 3 that we'll turn to. And, and they all work and they all fit in certain situations. So it's not like a one size fits all. Anybody tells you that there's a one size fits all method for doing virtually anything, they're probably lying to you or they're not very good because there are just too many variables to look at. And so it's got to be customized to your business. But, most of the time you're not going to make money on the book. So you can either give it away or you can sell it with the idea that you're going to sell it plus some other things to liquidate your ad costs. And both of those approaches work. All right, next question. How long does it take to write a book? I get this all the time. When we're helping a client through the process and we're writing it for them, it takes 60 days. The actual writing itself doesn't take that long, but that's sort of start to finish to get it published. For clients who go through our Author Accelerator program, where we're helping them on the strategy, and then we're kind of coming in and helping with like the graphic design and the publishing and all that end of it, but they're doing the writing, typically takes 4 to 6 weeks. And, and a lot of people go, well, how could you possibly do it in 4 to 6 weeks? And one of the things that I discovered when I was writing Unstoppable Referrals, and the thing that I didn't know when I failed at writing 2 books before that, was that the difference between success and failure in writing a book is breaking that project down into really small chunks. And so if you think about writing a book as, it's a 20,000 word process, you're going to put 20,000 words onto paper, into Word or into Google Docs or something, but you got to break that down, because that thought is, that's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to me. And I've, for the last 10 years, written for a living. You have to break that down to really small chunks. And I like to break it down to 30-minute or 1-hour work sessions. And what we'll do with a client who's going to write their own book is we'll say, all right, well, how much time can you devote to this? And, whether that's 3 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever, and then how long of a block? Can you do 30 minutes? Can you do an hour? Can you do 2 1-hour blocks in a day? Great. Then we build out a detailed writing plan for them. So they know day by day, here's where I'm supposed to be. Here's what I'm supposed to write about. I only have to do, this 400 word passage, because we'll give them a word count target to make it really easy. That is the secret to writing a book quickly. It's having that plan in place ahead of time. So organize the book and really break it down. So it follows that persuasive structure that I talked about a minute ago, and then you've kind of broken it down to that level of detail will speed you through the writing process. And so that's something we teach in our book blueprint course. It's something we guide people through in our Author Accelerator, and it's something we do for you, in our Magnetic Author Elite program. But that's the secret. If you're trying to do this yourself, that's the secret. All right. So let's see. Where should I publish the book? We hear that a lot too. You want to get it in as many places as you can. Certainly Amazon. You want to get it out to, all of the major booksellers. So right now that's barnesandnoble.com, booksamillion.com, Apple, through their iBooks. And you want an audiobook that, is going to get onto Audible. Most of the books that you get out in the market are probably going to be given away or driven by your own marketing and not sold through these sites. But it's useful to have them up there, both for credibility and for the opportunity to discover, for someone to discover you. Because people go and search on Amazon all the time. They go and search these other sites all the time looking for new content, and they might be looking for your content. And so it's useful to get it up there. Is that primarily where, your clients are going to come from? No, but you want to have it there. All right. Let's see. Last question. And I get this, I don't know, I probably get this 2-3 times a week. Would I make a good author? And I get that question from business owners, and I hate getting the question, honestly, because I believe that if you've been doing what you've been doing for a while and you've been successfully helping people, then it's very likely that you're an expert at what you do. You may not think of yourself in that way, but it's likely that you are. Now, if you're brand new and you don't really know anything, and you haven't developed that expertise yet, then maybe you're right to question that. But for most people who've been doing what they've been doing, even for a few years, you've developed an expertise. You've developed a methodology for how you approach things. That methodology is likely somewhat unique to you because it's your interpretation of how to solve a particular problem for clients. And so, if you've got that idea that, hey, this is how I help people, I know they get good results, and I want to communicate that idea, then yeah, absolutely, you make a good author. And one of the things that we always like to do is distinguish the term author from writer, because in my mind, the author of a book is the person with the idea, and the writer of the book is the person who touches the keyboard. And they don't always have to be the same person. A lot of people get hung up on that, but they don't have to be the same person. You can absolutely author a book without writing every word by having all of the ideas and having your unique approach to solving a particular problem for a group of people. That's what it takes to be an author. And then a book is just a great way to package up that idea, that methodology, to get it out to more people so you can have a bigger impact. Okay. And you can certainly be the author, and you can collaborate with a writer who is really skilled not at your idea, but they're really skilled at taking your idea and putting it on the page. Anyway, that's how I typically will answer that question. So, if you got any more questions about writing books, how to use them in your marketing, how to use them to attract clients, send them in to me. You can email them, steve@unstoppableceo.net. And you can also go, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can post them in the comments below. Happy to answer them. Anyway, looking forward to seeing your book get into the marketplace.
Thanks for listening to the Unstoppable CEO podcast. Help others discover this show. Leave a review and rating on iTunes at unstoppableceo.net/iTunes.